bit of time talking about giving, which is the topic this week. Did anybody listen? Head to chat and let me know if you've listened. My screen's going all kinds of funny today. Did you have a listen to giving without getting it wrong? Of course, Sam. What did we think? Was it a topic that resonated? Oh, don't know if you just saw. Regular PodPlusers will know. It was Secret Santa last week in the Amazing If team, and I got gifted this squiggly mug. How good is this? I normally don't like mugs, to be honest. I have a very specific set of mugs that I like in my house. This one has made it into the house. I love it. I would show it's got sunshines in it as well. So I'm very happy with my Secret Santa mug. Love that. Me too, Jess. Who knew? I actually really like it. It's lobster. It's kind of lobster theme. It's red. Do you love a red pink cup? Me too. So giving without getting wrong. The reason that we did this, I guess it's the season of giving, but obviously we're talking about giving at work. I have always enjoyed and has always resonated with me the work of Adam Grant and his book Give and Take. He also has a very good podcast topic. What he says in his book, I mean, he says more than this, but the gist of it is that givers get more. So in your career, if you are a giver, you will get more back. He talks about 3 different types of people. So there are givers who give more to others, basically. There are the matchers who I give and take an equal amount, and then there are the takers who you take from people. And over time, it is shown that givers get more, which is a nice message. But one thing that we really do need to be aware of is how to give in a way that I think is, I guess, sustainable. So if you are giving to everybody all of the time, you have a much higher risk of burnout. And so what we want to do is be able to give so we get more, but do it in a way that is sustainable for our squiggly careers, so that we're not kind of giving relentlessly, but we are giving in a way that we can sustain over time, so that it is almost like a strategy for success in your squiggly career. So how to give so that you get more, but without getting it wrong. So Sarah and I talked about 3 different profiles that you might fall into. I'm not sure what's going on with Zoom annotation at the moment, so I'm not sure if you can do view options, but what I'd love you to do, I'm going to just how do I hide? Give me a second, everybody, to sort the Zoom stuff out. Hide names of annotators. Okay, so we talked about 3 different profiles that people can fall into when you are giving. So I'm just going to quickly say them out loud. And then what I'd love to do is for you to put a star on my screen with which one feels most like you. So to do the stars on my screen, I'll explain how to do that. And then I'll talk through these 3 profiles. Stars on screens is view options, which will be somewhere on your Zoom screen. It's normally at the top. And then you click on annotate, and then stamp, and then star. We'll put the instructions in the chat, and but for now, let me talk about these 3 profiles. So, people pleaser. This is you if you help everybody and anybody all of the time. Like, it feels good to give, right? So you sign up, you just you find yourself giving to other people, but sometimes at your own cost. So you don't necessarily prioritize the things that are important to you because you put other people's needs first. That's you, if you're a people pleaser. Ad hoc helpers. Everyone, I might delete your stars in a minute. Do your stars at the end, because I think some people might be working out stars. I'm going to delete your stars. We're going to do it all together. Hold the stars. Ad hoc helpers. You're kind of helpful, but like in a pretty inconsistent way. So it's not that you're unhelpful. It's just it's not a strategy for your career. You're not thinking, how am I most helpful? Like, what have I got to give? And who can I benefit by giving that to, and how am I going to do it? You're not strategic about your help. You're just kind of like, bit random about it, to be honest. And then there are the people that might be taking too much. Now, at the risk of nobody identifying with that, because like, who wants to be seen as a taker, maybe reframe what taking too much actually means. So taking too much might be you've been over-reliant on a particular person. So maybe you have been in a time of change where you have needed quite a lot of help from someone, and you have sort of taken more than you've given, or you've been over-reliant on a particular person, okay? That's what I mean by sort of taking too much. I'm not saying you're a horrible person who just takes all the time. I'm saying at this point in a relationship or in your career, you've been drawing a lot from people for your development, and you haven't worked out how to give that back. So everyone, I'm just going to clear your stars for a moment, because I think some of that might be working out how stars on screens work. Can you now stick a star on my screen with which one of these that you personally identify with? And for anybody who can't make the stars work, don't worry. If you want to, you can put what you identify with in chat, and I'll do you a manual star, but don't worry about it if you're not there. That is me drawing on the screen there. What have we got? So I've got a couple of people pleasers. I'm going to add that one to there. I think I used to be a people pleaser. Now I think I'm a bit of an ad hoc helper. There are a couple of people that I think my relationship's a bit takey with. That's my stars, I don't know. But I think I could probably be a bit more strategic about how I give with a couple of people. I don't think generally I'm a taker, but there are a couple of people that I'd like to think, how could I help them? What's Sam saying? I've been in collecting mentors mode. So, okay, how to move those relationships. Yeah, so Sam might say, I've been in collecting mentors mode. So I've actually taken quite a lot from those relationships, which is totally fine. It's fine to be a taker some of the time. But the risk with taking too much for too long is that it's not necessarily going to make that relationship continue over the long term, because at some point people will probably draw a line and be like, oh, I'm happy to have helped you, good luck. And you probably want to keep that relationship going. So finding a way to give back is a way to keep those helpful relationships going. Okay, so what I thought we would do, majority of us somewhere between people pleasing and ad hoc helpers today, what I thought we would do is just talk about a couple of ideas depending on which one you are at the moment, also which one you might be in the future, a couple of ideas to help you maintain those relationships and also maintain your energy. So sustainable giving. So it is a strategy for your squiggly career. That is what we are aiming for. So people pleasers, this has really worked well for me. Create a hurdle for your help. So what I mean by that is, if you notice that lots of people are coming to you, oh, can you help me on this project? Or can you help me create a Christmas playlist for our team away day? Oh, can you help me run this event? That kind of thing. And normally you're like, yes, of course, because you want to be helpful. Create a hurdle for your help. That is as simple as saying, oh, I'd love to get involved. Like, just so I know, just so I can do it in the right way, can you just come back to me with what your objective is, any ideas you've had? Like, what your hurdle is kind of depends on the help that someone's asking for. But the point is, you go back to that person so that they're not just like passing it on to you regardless, so that they've done a little bit of thinking first, or they've done a little bit of an effort before they just rock up to you to do it for them, and create a little bit of a hurdle. What I tend to find, honestly, is 75% of the people that ask me for help don't go over the hurdle. And if I hadn't put that hurdle in, I would have just gone, yes, of course, yes, of course, yes, of course. So creating hurdles, it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you're not automatically adopting stuff that other people want you to do. We've done a podcast before on managing your monkeys. And I think this is, sometimes if you're a people pleaser, the risk is people throw you their monkeys. And all I'm saying is, like, that monkey needs to come with a backpack of stuff that somebody has packed for you so that you can actually look after it well. And so we're just trying to build a few backpacks. Most people can't be bothered to pack the backpack, and so you never get the monkey. Does that work as an analogy? Hopefully you know where I'm going. Don't do the mental labor for someone else. Exactly that. Thanks, Lucy. Lucy from the team has put the podcast link in there about how to manage your monkeys. Okay, any reflections on that? Love the analogy. Do you know, Rachel, I get really stuck between analogies and metaphors. So if anyone is like hot on their grammar, please don't judge. But anyway, and also maybe educate me if it was an analogy or a metaphor. I think it's an analogy. I think so. Right, let's talk about ad hoc helpers. So these are the people who, you're like helping a bit, but just not in a particularly consistent or strategic way. I think one of the most useful things that you can do here is create some helpful how-tos. So these could be like, a guide makes it sound quite grand. This could be, think about the work that you do well, and also think about what you want to be known for and how you can turn that into a helpful how-to. So I might say, oh, I could write a helpful how-to on how to start and scale a podcast. I could write a helpful how-to on how to pivot your career in 2025. And that could be a helpful how-to, could be a LinkedIn post. I I could create a little workbook, for example, in what I do. You could do a 5-minute presentation. Like, helpful how-tos can be delivered in lots of different ways. But the point is, you take what you know and what you want to be known for. I think those two things are important. And you find a way to share that in a kind of a simple, useful, usable way. And that can help you to just be a bit more strategic about kind of what you're helping people with. What are we saying here? Please, could you give one more example of the hurdle tactic? Yes, Laura, of course. So I use it with mentoring quite a lot, because I get a lot of emails from people saying, can you mentor me? And I want to be helpful. Like, I mean, clearly I'm a people pleaser. I do career development, they give loads of stuff away. Like, clearly I'm a people pleaser. But I cannot help everybody that emails me. And sometimes the requests are honestly a little bit lazy. And so I will go back to those people and say, I'm really happy to help. In order for me to work out what the best way that I can help is, can you answer these 3 questions? So, like, what do you want to be true in 12 months' time that isn't true today? What have you already tried? What's holding you back? Like, those might be 3 questions that I would ask someone. And what I find, as I said, is a lot of people don't even reply to that email, because I've asked them to think and share. And if they don't want to do that, then like I can't be that helpful, because I don't really know what they need. But also I need, I think if you are going to give, you want people, to come to you having done, like what someone else said earlier, a bit of the mental labor. So that's another example. Any other thoughts? Good, Laura. I'm happy. I think also you have to get over the confidence gremlin. So I think you have to get over the confidence gremlin of like, oh, this feels a bit mean. It isn't mean. Think, like, reframe that into, I'm going to be more helpful. That's how I think about it. Like, if I'm just going to give someone random advice, that's not necessarily that helpful. So I've reframed, like, this is a bit mean, into, this means I can be more helpful. If someone does this work, then the time that I spend with them, I can be much more helpful. So don't try and reframe it a little bit if you're worried about coming across as a bit mean. Taking too much. So if you have just been in take mode for a little while, again, doesn't mean you're a bad person. It might just be a result of the career situation that you've been in. First of all, I would say, I know this is really obvious, but it's really important. Say thank you, because sometimes, but be specific with your thank you, not like, thanks for your time. Let people know the impact of their help. So, thank you so much for talking to me last month. There were 3 things that I took away from our conversation, and as a result of it, I have done this, and that wouldn't have happened without you. Like, that's what I mean by saying thank you. The reason that you do that is because that is more likely to result in the helper's high. So where the person who has helped you basically feels really good about what they've done. Because the risk here is if they've just given and given and given, and you've taken and taken and taken, that's going to stop feeling good for them after a while. So by going back to them with a very specific thank you, you're more likely to create the helper's high, and they're more likely to kind of want to maintain this relationship. So that's the first thing to do if you've been in take mode for a while. The second thing we talked about is kind of give around the person. So if you feel like you can't give back to the person because maybe they're senior or expert or whatever, you're like, I don't quite know how to give back to you. Think about, what is that person interested in? Like, what are the topics they're interested in? If they're a manager, it might be their team, or it might be in a particular area of passion or interest for them, and think how you can help in that area. So that is another way that you can kind of show gratitude to someone that has given you, is to say, oh, I know you're really passionate, or I'd love to give back. I'd love to say thank you. Could I run a session for your team on how to, I don't know, run better projects, whatever your thing is. But sometimes it can be a blocker because you don't know how to give directly back to the person who has helped you. And so just think, can I help them by helping the people that are important to them, or the things that matter to them? Ah, that's nice, Sam. Anybody else got any nice ways of saying thank you? Before we move on to Squiggly Quizmas, I'll call it that, just made that up. Before we move on to Squiggly Quizmas, anyone got any other nice ways of saying thank you? I'm just going to have a sip of tea in my brand new cup before I move on. Food and snacks. I like to share, have paid it forward. That's nice, B. Oh, let's do some thoughtful thank yous quickly. Writing a LinkedIn recommendation, that's lovely. Quizly careers, I mean, or just give me ideas for the quiz. Steve's like, move on, Helen. I'm ready for the quiz. I'm here every week and I'm ready. Food and snacks are always the best. Random thing, I've got a party at my house next Friday. And with the neighbours. I live in a forest. There's not that many neighbours. It's not going to be a big party. However, I was thinking I need to make my life a bit easier. And I was going to buy, you know, those grazing boards. They are so expensive. I was like, I'm just going to like make my life easier, get a grazing board delivered. Very expensive. So now I've convinced myself that I can take a picture off Pinterest and make. I mean, it's going to be a disaster because they look beautiful, don't they, the grazing boards? If anyone knows, you know. So now I'm going to just go to Tesco's, buy an awful lot of food and try and make this grazing board. It's my mantra. How can I make this easier? Offering a box of chocolates. Lovely.